Good evening, and welcome to Educate Our Youth, Athletes, and Academics. My name is Janet Thompson. I am the CEO and co-founder of the Mamie Keith and Eileen Bradley Educational Foundation, also known as Educate Our Youth. The mission of Educate Our Youth is to make college more accessible through education, mentoring, professional development, and other means available to students by offering programs such as ACT, SAT workshops. We offer financial literacy. We assist with applying for financial aid, with college tours, mentoring, and tutoring, and also athletes and academics. Which brings me to our guest today, which is my husband, Coach James Nate Thompson, also known as Coach T. So how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
So, Coach, I know a lot about you, but give the public a little bit about your career.
Well, I've been into the coaching and teaching profession for about over 41 years. I've been lucky enough to I've been at Myrtle Beach High School, Conway High School, Choppy High School before they closed, and Carver's Bay. And I have coached football, wrestling, track, and I've also been lucky enough to win some conference championships, win some state championships, and have some kids in the pros. So it really makes you feel good. That's basically some things that I've done since I've been coaching.
Fantastic career. Fantastic.
Love it.
Yeah. So listen, let's talk about the NCAA requirements to play for college ball.
Right. A lot of times parents, when your kids are probably coming up, especially when they're in ninth grade. When they're in eighth grade, seventh grade, which is the middle school, the grading doesn't count. They're not number grade, they're pass or fail. But when your child hits ninth grade, then they become to get a graded number grade. Those number grades are very, very important, especially when it comes to math, science, history, English. Those are basic requirements that's going to be dealing with the NCAA. So it's very important that the kids keep a C or above. That main thing is they can get A's and B's, we're great, but the main thing is they don't want to get a D or an F in any of those courses, even in the ninth grade. Also, by the time they hit their senior year, when you're dealing with trying to be eligible in the ninth grade, a senior, you have to be able to have so many courses, which you call core courses. Now, the core courses are different than the regular courses. A lot of times, parents look at the kid's transcript and they say, oh, my kid's got a 3.5. That's great. But when it comes to athletics in college, they don't count physical education. They don't count shop class. They don't count art. A lot of courses they do not count. And those courses, most of those courses are what we call elective courses. And they make your GPA looks good. But when you take all of them out, and the meat and potatoes of it is core. And those basically math, science, English, and history are core courses. And those are the courses that they pull out. So the main thing there is make sure your kid in the ninth grade really start doing very well in those courses. Also, when they get to their senior year, make sure that they have to have so many courses their senior year, in core courses to even be eligible. At one time, they would just say, well, don't worry about how many core courses you got. You can deal with that later. But not the new system. The new system under the NCAA clearinghouse, they have to have so many core courses already done and in place before their senior year.
So no electives would matter?
No electives will matter whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
They can have multiple differences of English, multiple sciences, multiple histories, or any multiple mathematics. Those are the major ones they're gonna really, really pick up on. Also, you can have foreign language. Foreign language will also count. A lot of this, when we do this, deals with your guidance counselor. It's very important that the parent and especially the student, please keep in touch with your guidance counselor. That way you can know your kid is on track. A lot of times we wait until okay, someone get interested in my kid. It's their senior year. Let me go check. Well, it's a little bit too late sometime for some kids,
Yes.
for their senior year. Also, when we're talking about grading, we have to talk about the SAT and the ACT. So if your son or daughter wants to be a student athlete, one of the requirements again is SAT, ACT, as well as GPA. Now, how that works is that the SAT and the ACT, they both work on what we call a sliding scale. Sliding scale means they take your grade. If you got a high grade point average, you can have a low SAT score or ACT. Right. So it's a sliding scale. So that's why it's very important that the student do very, very well in those core courses, because the higher their core courses, that's the higher their core GPA is. And the GPA the GPA core average is high, then the SAT and ACT do not have to be as high when they take the test.
So is that considered different levels, and the colleges have different levels of requirements, right? Would that fall into that category?
Oh, most definitely. Yeah. You know, I tell them all the time, I said, your senior year, your senior year is a year that the student needs to go ahead and start getting ready for a college level. Okay. And the first thing they need to do is sign into what we call the NCAA clearinghouse. And the reason I brought that up is because when you have to deal with the NCAA clearinghouse, a lot of times kids wait, and you cannot have any recruiting visits unless you've been through the NCAA clearinghouse. Okay. So even if your child is considered for or scholarship or recruiting, they cannot take an official visit. Official visit means that the school will invite you and your son or daughter in, and they take over the charge and they pay for everything. But they cannot do that unless you've been through the clearinghouse, and the clearinghouse said, okay, you have all your paperwork in order, you're good. Now, the different levels, while we talk about different levels, and I'm glad you brought that up, but the different levels is this. You have Division I. Now, Division I is Division I no matter what. One time about you had University of South Carolina was considered Division I. All right. Then you had South Carolina State. They were called Division I AA. But even though they're separately linked, when it comes to the clearinghouse, whatever you have to get into University of South Carolina, you have to get into South Carolina State. So anything that has Division I attached to it, whether basketball, football, baseball, track, if it says Division I, whether it's Division I A or Division I AA, the course entrance requirements through the NCAA clearinghouse is the same. So that will not change. You also have what we call Division II. Division II has a different set of rules. In other words, it's a lot less than what it takes to get in Division I. All right, you can receive scholarships in Division II. Now, when we get into Division III is very, very hard. People say, well, there's one side.
What school?
Division III is usually the really, really small schools that are more academic. And what people are realize is that Division III does not offer athletic scholarships, but what they do is they offer academic scholarships. So a lot of kids would love to go to Division III because it's a small school, but the problem they have is Division III usually requires 3.0 or better. They don't require anything under a 3. Some of them is 3.5s. That's your core grade. You have to. It's very challenging because they do that because if they get you there with a high average, their chance of getting you an academic scholarship is really good because they're not allowed to offer a scholarship dealing with athletics. They don't offer it at all. Now, we're still moving on the same division. We have another situation what you call NAIA. NAIA, let's take a school like Norfolk State. Let's take a school like Winston-Salem State or Fayetteville State. Okay. A lot of those schools are what we call NAIA schools. They also work on a different premise, but their premise is just as the same as what we do in Division II, but they're called NAIA schools. A lot of people they don't know that, you automatically assume that they're the same, but they're a little bit different. Again, it's a little bit lower than what you'd have to have in Division One. Also, you have what you call JUCO, junior college.
I was just about to ask you that because I know we had some students that attended JUCO and didn't go to a 4-year school.
Right. JUCO a lot of times is like a second chance school for children. A lot of student athletes don't perform well. They'll get to their senior year and they blossom as an athlete, whether any sport. But the problem they have is their academic grades are so low they can't get in. So you have what these colleges call junior colleges. We call them JUCO. And what junior colleges do is they will get you in there for 2 years. And for 2 years, you will be at a junior college. One of the things about the junior college you have to understand as a student athlete, even if you go to a junior college, the only way you can go to a Division I school or Division II school is you have to graduate from that junior college with an associate degree. They require you to have that associate degree. But the key to it is this: once you graduate from that junior college with that associate degree, you can go to any school there is, no matter what division.
But can you play?
Yes, you can play going on. Okay. What they do is you have 2 years at junior. You have what they call, you got 5 to make 4. So if you go to junior college, you're probably going to end up using 2 of those years. Okay. But when you get to the major college, you still got 3 more. You got 2 to make 3. So you got a chance to, even if you sit out the first year coming to that school, you still have 2 more years to play. Okay. And if you come in and you play from initially, you got 2 years. So you always have 2 years left. So it basically narrows down again to 4 years.
What does it mean when a student athlete receives a scholarship?
That's one thing that's very important that as a coach, I try to explain to parents. To get a scholarship, it works on 3 levels. The first level is what we call partial. A partial scholarship means the school is willing to give you or give your child some money. It's probably 1/4 of what it costs for them to go to that college. Now, that's what we call a partial. That means they're trying to help you. What they do is they look at what the family can afford and what the family could pay, and they try to do as much as they can. The other part is what we call a half scholarship. Half scholarship means no matter what, they look at what it costs to go to an institution, and they will pay half of that. The parents have to make up whatever differences. And then you have what you call a full scholarship. Full scholarship means they pay for everything for that year. Right? And that's what you mean by a full scholarship. And I tell parents they need to understand this also. A scholarship is what we call a grant in aid. It is not no say. I hear people say, "Oh, my child got a full ride to so and so." No, your child has 1 year. That 1 year, everything is taken care of. That's what it means by a full ride. It's called a grant in aid.
What happens the second year?
Second year, they base it on that child's performance and that child's grade at that college. And if either one of those 2 does not bore out, the coach has the right to reject the scholarship. And that's something that if it's a conduct situation where, let's say he got there or she got there and, not behavior-wise, things went bad, that scholarship can be terminated. If their grades are not right, that scholarship can be terminated. If they are not up to the level of performance that coach is looking for or brought them in on, then that scholarship can be terminated. So that's very important. It's very important to understand that because they got a full scholarship, it does not mean it's got 4-year scholarship. They only got 1 full year there. Everything is grant and aid.
Because when you hear parents say, "My child had a full ride," you're thinking it's for 4 years, but it's not.
Right.
Let me ask you this. You were a walk-on at South Carolina State University for wrestling.
Right.
Does that still exist today? Can you still walk on as a wrestler or football?
Walk on is very important. There's 2 ways of walking on. One way of walking on, what colleges do now, they don't have the money to give you, but you're a good player. It's like, see, what people don't understand, it's just like football or basketball or whatever. That particular sport has so many slots that it's open. And they give out money based on how much money they got. So usually they got a kid, an athlete coming in and they say, well, we'd love to have that person, but we don't have the money. So what they do is they say, I'll tell you what, we have what we call a preferred walk-on. A preferred walk-on means if that college says, Nate Thompson, I want you to come in, you're going to be my preferred walk-on. That means I have a slot on that team. I'm not getting any money, but by being preferred, I have that slot until I lose it. Now, the other one is what you call a walk-on. A walk-on means I get accepted by that college, I go there and I tell the coach I'm coming out for the team. Now I'm walking on myself. It's not an open slot or anything. I'm hoping to gain a slot. Okay. I've had one young man who's very successful with it. He went to a college on academic scholarship, decided to go out for football. And after 2 years, he went on, he had full scholarship for 2 years. And, he ended up with an engineering degree. And he ended up starting 4 years at a major, 2 years at a major university. So now he's in the coaching profession. I love it. Okay. But the thing is, I'm telling you that there's a lot of times kids, if they're not seen or nobody know who they are, and if they can get into that college, they get a chance. The coach always gives them a chance to walk on and give them a shot at it. And if your kid get a preferred walk on, that just means that they didn't have the money for this kid, but he has a preferred walk-on. I don't know if anybody know Hunter Renfro. Hunter Renfro, kid in soccer team. Hunter Renfro went to Clemson University, and his dad was coaching the soccer team. Hunter was a preferred walk-on at Clemson, and now he's in the NFL.
Okay. So there's opportunities there.
There's always an opportunity. It's really up to the student athlete how well they perform once they walk on. It's usually discouraging because you're near the back. But if you believe in yourself, you believe in your craft, this coach is going to see it, and they work on the level of ability and what's the longevity of this student athlete. And if they see that, you increase. Some kids have gotten their first year, and the next year they're on scholarship. Some kids been there 2 years, and the next 2 years they're on scholarship. So the money's there if that kid performs, and there's always a slot there.
So when it comes to recruiting, what role does the parents and the students play?
Very good. And I know a lot of people say, well, why are you saying about a coach? I always tell parents, coaches do not get your child a scholarship. We don't have one in the drawer. Like, man, coach didn't get my child a scholarship. I was over my drawer. I said, I'm sorry, but there's nothing in that drawer. So coaches do not give scholarships. Right. So we have to understand the recruiting process. It's very important, even when the 9th, 10th, or 11th grade. Make sure you can contact these colleges. Go on the athletic website. When you go on the athletic website, look into Inside Athletics. Scroll down to Coaches Directory. When you get to the Coaches Directory, it's got every sport there is and every coach there is. Right beside that coach, it's got their email, it's got their Twitter address, it's got their phone number, all that's right there. All right. It's very important that parents, you do that and kids do that, get in contact with the coach. Now, a lot of people love to run to the head coach and do not try to go to the head coach. Not unless it's a very minor sport like tennis or golf. But if you're in football, basketball, baseball, usually it's very important that when you're looking at a list of coaches, look for the one that says recruiting coordinator. That's the recruiting coordinator. That's the guy that you want to get your information to. You contact him. When you contact him, he's going to tell you what to do. Now, some of the colleges, because recruiting budgets are tight, and when it's tight, especially with this COVID-19, there might not be a whole lot of people coming out to see you. You're going to have to showcase, your child. So please, also with some websites, they have what we call a recruiting form. Click that recruiting form. Fill out the most important thing is to fill out everything, guys. Don't leave anything to chance. Fill out everything. When you're filling it out, there's about 20 other kids filling it out too. Fill out everything, parents. Now, also, your guidance counselor is very important. Your guidance counselor, again, I told you, 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. It's very important you keep up with all the courses they take to make sure that whatever you're trying to get this college, get this kid into that college, that they're able to be eligible academically.
So there should be communication at all from 9th grade to 12th grade with the guidance counselor. Parents stay in communication.
It's very
with the guidance
important.
counselor.
It's very important.
And you talking about going to that website and finding the coaches and the recruiting coach. I remember you putting together a packet for some students. Is that something the parents can do also with their plays?
Right. Well, that gets down to the next level. The next level is the coach.
Okay.
Usually, a kid usually develops, probably in about 10th, 11th grade, and they develop. Now, coaches, these are some things that, and parents, these are some things that you can get your coaches to do or you can do. What you do is you develop what you call an information sheet. You take that information sheet and you put it together. Also, parents, go to the coaches. They have what you call a huddle website. That huddle website, you want to put on what we call, it's like you want to showcase your child. So you want to put a highlight video. When you do a highlight video, I don't care what kind of music you put to it, people love music. But when you do a highlight video, put 10 of his best plays.
Okay. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
We talking highlight. I know you love your child, and I know your child you think is great. But it's one of them things where if you cut it on and you look at it, them first 5 plays should glue you to that screen. If those plays don't catch your imagination, then that's not what you're looking for. Because what you're seeing is what that recruiter is going to be looking at. And he doesn't know you from Adam's house cat. Only thing he knows is what he sees on film. So it's very important. Make you a nice highlight. Get the coach with your son or daughter to develop a good highlight. Get a good questionnaire form. Questionnaire forms gives information about the kid, information about the parents, how to contact those parents. It'll tell what the kid's GPA is. You also tell the kid's strength and the kid weaknesses. Those are any other sports that student plays. What are their stats? That's what that information sheet. So you have that information sheet and you got your highlight. All right, now you take those and find about 10 colleges based on your kid's academic grouping that can get in that college. You find those 10 colleges and you go online. Go online, again, go to Inside Athletics, go down and get that coaching directory and get hold to that recruiting coordinator. Get that information, that recruiting coordinator. Call them constantly. They'll call you. Especially, they love to give you their Twitter address. But that will start developing a relationship between your child, you, the coach, and that recruiting coordinator. Mm-hmm. All of them play a part. And what you want is put as many people as possible in that. That way, he won't slip through the cracks and say, the recruiting coordinator never called us back, and we never called them. Coach didn't do his job because coach said, nobody contact him. So eventually things fall through the crack. But if the parent keeps in contact with the recruiting coordinator, parent keeps in contact with the coach. And that's our job as coaches if you want your child in school, we work the best we can to get them there. Also, make sure that student athlete keeps in contact with that recruiting coordinator and keep in contact with their coach about anything that's coming.
The NCAA rules are the same for male and females?
They most certainly are. They're the same. Okay. They don't. One thing about Title IX, we're not changing anything. Okay. And one thing I want to say about recruiting too is parents, and especially the parents and you young guys, student athletes, getting ready. Some of you getting ready to go to college, and some of you coming up. When you contact these people, you get what you call an interest letter. There's a letter of interest and there's a letter of recruitment. There's 2 different letters. Letter of interest, you might get letters from all over once you get your name out there. Everybody will be sending. But until they send you a letter of recruitment, say, listen, we are recruiting your child. They call you and talk to you about, listen, we are recruiting your child, your son or daughter. That's when you know you got a letter of recruitment. A letter of interest means it'll send it to everybody. And that doesn't see people,
generic.
right? Because see parents, oh, my kid get a letter from so and so. He got a letter from so and so. He getting all these letters. Yeah, he getting letters, but he had no letter of recruitment. It's a big difference.
So he won't be playing for South Carolina State.
No, ma'am.
Let me ask you, with it's been a lot of hype about endorsements to college players, and I'm for the college player to get endorsements, to get they can get some commercials, whatever they can get to help benefit them because they're playing, and of course the university is making a whole lot of money, right? How do you feel? And I think it's two states. Florida's one, and there's another state that the athletes, the football players, will be receiving endorsements in 2021. How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel it's probably something that's a long time coming.
Yeah.
We have to come and face realistics. The NCAA was developed to make sure everything stayed equal. Well, they stayed equal, and then they got to the point, they said, well, we're giving your son a scholarship. He's making, when he gets through with this school, he be done to have about $40,000 paid that he ain't got to pay back. That's very nice. Mm-hmm. But then you have these colleges who are making pretty close to about 30 or 40 million.
Right.
All right, for them students to run out on the field and play. So these student athletes, what people don't realize, a student athlete right now, he cannot even accept a dinner. If somebody in that, one of the assistant coaches, even what we call the GA, little coaches, if they try to take this kid to McDonald's to get him a sandwich and someone sees that kid becomes ineligible on the NCAA standards. So a lot of the students that come into colleges, they come in with great talent, but they come from poor areas. So there's nobody that's sending them any money and whatever. So they rely on, just trying to get money here or there. So the thing is, if we go to the system where we've got a chance to say, okay, let's help this student out, then that can happen. You take, for example, if that student mother is sick and he's in South Carolina, but his parent lives in Louisiana, he cannot even accept a plane ticket or bus ride or ride. He cannot accept none of that because it'll make him ineligible. So it's very important. I said it is time that these athletes get something. When they sign their name and they have these all day picture day. These kids sign right now. They have these picture days or photo days at these colleges, and these kids sign anywhere from 40 or 50 pictures. They get no money. They cannot accept any money. Okay. Well, if we switched it and we give these kids at least $5 for signing, that helps. So there are some ways that the NCAA can do some things that will help these kids out and not have them getting in uncompromising positions of people giving them some stuff and someone sees it and now they're ineligible.
So I'd like to remind viewers, if you have any questions or comments, please post to the website or post our page now while you're viewing us. Another question I have is that when you're recruiting, you start recruiting your junior, senior year, most colleges?
Right. Most colleges recruiting, they really start recruiting you your junior year. Okay. And your senior year is like all or. So what happens is when they're in 9th and 10th grade, prepare them to get ready to be recruited. The real recruiting line really happens their junior year. They'll start getting letters of recruitment. The college is going to want, these coaches are going to want you to bring your child on campus, especially during the game, whether it's a basketball game, football game. They want to get your kid on campus. Now we have what we call a recruiting where they pay for you, and then you got what you call a walk-on recruiting where you're just going up there yourself. They don't pay for any of that. You just take your child up there and they come watch the game and tour and visit. That's on you and your child. But then you have what you call a planned recruiting where that student gets 5 of those. Those are official visits. So you have unofficial visits and official. These are 5 official visits. Those are paid for by the colleges, whatever colleges that they want to go see. But unofficial, you can go as many times as you want with your student, with your child, and visit and see the campus, see what's going on, get a chance to have contact with the coaches. Coaches have what we call a dead period in recruiting. There's certain times that a coach cannot call a student, especially when they are like a junior. They only have some communication. Now, the student can call the coach as many times as he wants. That's the rule. But the coach cannot call him but so many times.
Let's talk about the unrealistic expectations that parents have when it comes to their children and being an athlete. You know that a lot of parents try to live through their children, especially if dad played football in high school, maybe a little bit in college, and his son is now playing Conway High or Carver's Bay, and you know he's surely going to the NFL. But as a coach, you don't see that.
No, and that's where parents and coaches have to be realistic about some things, especially the parents. And I always tell parents, I said, listen, be careful. You take these kids to these camps. They have these football camps they go to. They have these basketball camps they go to, baseball camps. And you have these people that run these camps, and you got a little kid that's playing baseball. He goes to a baseball camp. He's 9 years old. And then here's this guy who used to be a professional baseball player or a professional scout. Say, hey, that kid's got great talent. By the time he gets his senior year, he's going to be recruited. That kid's got great potential. What you hear is that the parent here, my kid is great. They didn't hear the guy said he'll have some potential. Yeah. So, and there's a lot of things play along that line. And I tell parents, even though your kid is big and strong, it's according to the positions that they play in their sport, and it's according to what the colleges are looking for. So if I've got a basketball team and I've got a bunch of forwards, I'm looking for centers. So even though your son is a great forward, I might not recruit your son. It's no slight. You're like, man, so-and-so didn't recruit my child. Well, they didn't need that position. That position is loaded. The kids that graduated were the kids that were the big, tall centers. Right. That's what they needed. So the same thing in football. If they're not, they're looking for maybe one quarterback, or maybe they might be looking for 5 running backs. But your child don't play, and your child play line. Well, in that process, it doesn't happen. And parents have to be realistic that when high school coaches are playing your child, we always play your child to the best safety conditions we can. We're not going to put your child out there because you think they're great enough to play. Because 2 things happen. One, we can put a child out there, put a player out there too early, and they get what you call gunshot. They really don't want to get hit. But they trying to live mom and daddy, and they go out there and they just don't perform. Then you have some kids that don't pick up well on things to do and how to work together, right? Certain place. You putting that kid and the other kids in a bad situation just because you want your kid on the field. So even though your kid can be strong as a bull, it can, but if they don't fit into playing the game, because the football and basketball is not a one-person game, not one player. Right. It's several players working together. And so coaches look at that first. Can this kid play this position? All right. Now, where else can I play this kid? So we don't necessarily, I ain't playing you because your daddy's so-and-so or your mother. We don't do that. We look for positions to play, but we also look to be safe with that student. So parents need to understand that, well, your kid's coming up from JV. He was the JV hero. Well, he's at varsity now. It's a whole different ball game. He's learning now some of the things that we do. Even though he can go fast, but he's going fast the wrong way. So we have to sort of teach him what we want when we're done. So it slows his process down, but it'll eventually catch back up. And so parents have to be a little bit more understanding of what coaches, high school coaches go through, because we don't get a chance to recruit. We accept what's there, and we try to develop what's there.
Coach, before we leave, can you, with this season starting, I assume we're going to have some football this season. What precautions have y'all taken for the COVID-19?
Well, this is going to be an unusual situation for all the schools. the United States, basically. And some of the precautions we take is our kids have to have their physicals, their parents' submission forms. They have to have a COVID form. All that has to be done before they even walk through our gate. Okay. And right now, we're not in the weight room. We're not in any building. We're outside, and we're really spread it. What we do is they'll come in, and we have cones set up 6 feet apart. We have 2 trainers that check, make sure all their equipment, all their paperwork is done. Okay. If one paperwork is out of order, we send them home. We send them home. They got to leave the premises. And when they come in, we check, make sure everything is there. Once they get that particular down, we ask them, do you have your water? If you don't, we have some water. We take a bottle and we write the name on it and hand it to them. Okay. And they move and sit down at another cone by themselves. So that cone is separate. They have to stay at that cone until we get them all back up again. Each coach is responsible up to 9 players. So we'll be on one field, and one coach will be on another field with 9, another coach will be on another field with 9. We're really spread it out. We have one guy in the middle, and he, shouts out the orders, and the coaches make sure that the kids do the order, do what they're going to do. But right now, we're going through what we call phases. We're in phase 1. And phase 1 means outside. Phase 1, making sure the kids have everything in order. Phase 1 meaning only conditioning. And we're not trying to get close to each other. Even when we're doing conditioning, there must be at least 6 feet apart.
Do you have an idea when the game will be scheduled? Sometime in September?
Right now, we're kind of at the mercy of the high school league, and we're also at the mercy of our school district. So the high school league and school district will kind of determine the phases and how fast they move with those phases.
Okay. Well, listen, I've enjoyed chatting with you.
Well, I always enjoy chatting with you.
Oh, it's been fun. Listen, to our viewers, if you have any questions or comments, you can always reach out to us on Facebook at Educate Our Youth Info, or you can go to our website. It's educateouryouth.info. And you can reach us through comments, and I can always pass it on to Coach Thompson, and or give you a call back, or he can give you a call back and leave your name and your phone number. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with him. Hope he shares some interesting information for you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.